You feel any negative emotion like sadness, purposelessness, loneliness, and you think porn will solve that. So you go to it, right? And the thing is that your brain lies to you and it tells you to avoid discomfort. This is a learned response. If you're lonely, the obvious choice is to talk to people. So, what made you think porn is the solution to that in the first place? You learned it. Now, imagine that you're sad. Now you may be questioning, is pornography actually learned? Because a lot of the people on r/nofap and whatnot say that pornography is something in your genes, it hacks your brains, it does this, it does that. So why are you one to say that it's learned? Because let's say you're sad. If I offer you something like cocaine, you will decline it, won't you? The same is with pornography. You would have declined it before, but you learned it because of societal conditioning, because of your friends or anything else which influenced you into getting into it. But the reason that you continue to use it is because of these self-limiting beliefs, much like a crackhead continues to use it because of his self-limiting beliefs, when he, in the past, when he did not have these brainwashings, would not have used it or thought of using it in the first place. Much like you, he would have thought that it was absurd. So you don't think of using cocaine to fix a headache or to sleep, do you? Yet a crackhead does when there's no proof that it improves your sleep. The same with pornography, there's no proof that it improves your sleep, yet people do that. So it's not necessarily because of withdrawals that people continue to use pornography, but instead because it's a learned response based on brainwashings and because they do not see any benefits to quitting. Why should you trust me? Well, hi, I'm Vansh, and I was someone who was unconfident. I was someone who had a hard time approaching girls. I was very lonely. I was bullied as a child. Trauma dump done. But basically, I've used pornography for over 9 years and I've been free for 1.5 years. And quitting gave me the confidence to work out more often. Quitting gave me the confidence to be more upfront with girls, to get dates, and it also improved my grades and whatnot, because pornography was such a big force in my life that just removing that improved the time, improved the mood, improved so many parts of my life that I don't see a point in not doing it. Pornography is a net negative and I don't think that you should do it, right? And I have helped other people do this too. So this is one of my clients, Ben, and he signed up for coaching during one of his most stressful times, and this is during his A-level exams, which basically determines what college they will go to, right? And he came up to me and I helped him with during that time, and he said that it went on to improve his grades rather than worsen it. People say that quitting porn is a very, very harsh process. It isn't very fun. But if you do it in the right way, it can be fun. It can make sure that you have zero urges, zero desire to watch pornography, because they're actually addressing the real reasons why you're using pornography in the first place, not some bullshit surface level solution like, oh, I use pornography at like 10 p.m. in the night, I guess I will not use my phone after 9 p.m. or something. That's bullshit. That doesn't work. You will go towards your phone if you really, really want it. Your brain has brainwashings and sees benefits in it. The same was the story with Rehan though. He used pornography every single day. It made him shy. It made him not talk to people. It made him socially anxious. Now he's one of the most social people I know. He has become a national level junior golfer because he finally had the time to become serious about his sports, to think about his purpose, etc. And guess what? You can do this too. Rehan was just a normal guy before he quit pornography, but quitting gave him the freedom to focus on the things that matter to him. Same with Ben. Ben was someone who was getting like 70% marks. He was an average C student and he went on to get A's and A stars or like 9s in his exams because he quit pornography, because it gave him the freedom, because it gave him the motivation and the time to focus on things which matter to him. So this is not impossible. These are not like selective case studies, but instead people who had the potential, much like you do, and they went on to awaken that potential to actually harness it. So think of addiction as a plant. Generally, the reason why most people justify using pornography is because of something like, oh, I'm unconfident, I'm lonely, etc. And these are valid problems, right? But they are surface level problems. These are like the leaves of the tree, and you can target them, sure, and you will get some results, but it will not fix the inherent problem, which is the fact that you see pornography as something positive, as something which helps solve your problems, when in reality this isn't the case. So what you need to do is identify the big problem. The big problem are the self-limiting beliefs that you have in your mind, and hence you need to question these beliefs, you need to break down these beliefs and hence kill them. When you start pulling these beliefs out by the roots and you address the true reasons, you will realize that, okay, I didn't really want pornography, I wanted something else. I wanted something like the desire to be loved. I wanted something like competence. I wanted some level of control in my life, and hence why I went on to pornography, because I felt that I had low control in many areas of my life. Something like that, and you will realize that pornography wasn't the solution in the first place. It was just a brainwashing, and it was just something which was keeping you down rather than solving the inherent problems. So what made the plant grow in the first place? What was the solution for this weed in your garden? And the thing is that everything from your parents, your teachers, your friends, your culture, everything is obsessed with comfort, with passiveness, with mediocrity. Look at these ads, right? They feed you so much fat, they feed you seed oils and whatnot. It's just so much consumerism is focused on by the culture. The people think that consuming something will solve their problems. It generally 99.999% of the times does not, right? You need to actively interact with something, you need to create something to make sure that the problems are solved, right? You need to create the solution. Same with junk food, same with this slogans like live, laugh and love. Same with all of these shows which basically embrace the mediocrity, which make you not want to fix the problems inherently inside of you, because it nulls them. It basically puts them inside of a closet for the short term, and that results in the problems growing, that results in the emotions getting worse, in the problems getting worse, and hence you suffering in the long term, right? And so you need to understand that all of these people who've done that, society, culture, parents, friends, etc., they aren't evil, but they are mediocre, and they do not inherently want the best for you, because they do not know what is best for them. And following them will make you mediocre, will make you as sad as them. Anything that culture, mainstream culture, has taught you is a self-limiting belief. So it wasn't your fault that you learned it, but it is now your responsibility to fix it. And hence, weakness is a choice right now. So will you continue to be weak, or will you grow strong by understanding what makes a person stronger, what gets you out of this? To actually fix and find the root problem, you first need to understand why and where it all started, right? And generally it starts with some child, generally at the age of 9 to 12, being left unsupervised, unrestricted on the wide internet. And that means things are bound to go wrong. So the younger you is, maybe looking into Spider-Man on some crap, and then some very bad Spider-Man videos come in, right? And then so you start going into that deeper into that rabbit hole, and eventually you find something which you shouldn't find, and this is your reaction. Because this is how the reaction should be, because it's borderline traumatic. Imagine you walked in on someone as a child doing it, and you would think, oh my god, she's going to bleed or some crap. You're getting the point, right? So this was, for a child, especially borderline traumatic. And because you didn't understand it, because you misinterpreted the panic and the high dopamine, which also spikes during stress, as something good, you just continued to go back to it, and hence you continue to suffer. You continue to use it as a numbing agent, and it prevented you from developing key skills like emotional resilience, like problem solving. But instead, you started doing problem avoidance. You started solving for the emotions rather than seeing what caused the emotions in the first place. And so you need to get rid of the brainwashings, of the circle of lies that's been built around this, and you need to hunt them down one by one, and that will result in you becoming free. Because otherwise, much like you are right now, just as you started using it as a child, you will continue to use it as an adult. Because if you do not mold yourself, culture, society, etc. will mold you, and generally it will be for the worse. Now, the way that most brainwashings work is that your brain will firstly give you logical brainwashings, benefits and whatnot, which on the surface level seem that they're true, but in reality, when you do like 5 minutes of research max at them, you will realize that they are false. So things like concentration. People think that concentration will be benefited by pornography. But when you actually start looking into it, you realize that it's just instant gratification. You will get a 30-minute boost at max. Whereas something else like fixing your diet, taking some supplements, or making sure that you sleep well, or taking a cold shower, which gives you a more healthy, stable run of dopamine, will be far, far better. So something like concentration isn't really benefited from by pornography. Same with education. Another thing that people will say to me is that it's good for education, and I find that really fucking stupid. What about pornography? Like the fact that it's color graded, the fact that it's hyper edited, the fact that the positions that they all use are just optimized for the camera rather than actually for pleasure of both you and the partner, or the fact that all of the moons and acting and the fact that everything and everyone's shaped and whatnot is realistic. And the best advice that I can give you is that read a fucking book, because that will actually tell you how to take care of your partner, and it will go far in depth and you won't be busy just oogling at the woman or the dick and balls or whatnot, but instead actually focused on learning and how to maximally pressure someone. Now the same is with relaxing. You don't generally feel relaxed when you use pornography. You feel some level of guilt and whatnot, right? So you're constantly just fighting against like, oh. So how is it relaxing exactly? Second thing I would say is that people say that is good for both concentration and relaxing, but those two are inherently opposite activities. How can you say something like it boosts concentration, which requires an inherent level of stress, versus that it also boosts relaxation, which requires low stress, which requires nothing to focus on, but instead just being there? That's stupid. Now you're finally figuring it out. So these are all excuses, and all of them are untrue when you start realizing and researching into them, and then you will find the emotional beliefs. These beliefs which make you think that I'm broken, I need this to cope, and this is just who I am. All of these are fucking mental malware installed through repetition and never challenged. When you start challenging them, they will crumble. That's what you need to do. Like 5 minutes per problem, just make a list of all the benefits that you see in pornography, and you will start realizing that they crumble as soon as you start thinking about them. The reason people use pornography, the reason people continue to have a problem with it, is because they first mystify it, there's a lot of fear around it, and there's a lot of self-limiting beliefs around it which are never questioned. So addiction, as I said, thrives on three things: false beliefs, fear, and mysticism, making sure that you're confused and you don't know what the fuck is going on. These all jumble up the thoughts, much like this wiring right here, and make it hard to go through them. The best approach is dealing with them one thought pattern at a time, one problem, one self-limiting belief at a time. So like I said, if I try to explain to you concentration, education, and relaxing all at once, you will not be able to follow it, right? But I explained it one at a time. I showed you that, okay, concentration doesn't really improve, it's just a short-term boost at best, and even then it's going to worsen your overall health. Same with education, read a damn book on it, you will learn far more. So if you actually cared about education, you would do that. Same with relaxing. You first realize that if I actually wanted to relax, something else like sleep, something like actually talking to people or my friends would be better. And even then, how can it help me with concentration, which is a relatively stressful activity, and also help me relax? That's weird, isn't it? So when you start questioning them, when you start going one at a time, you will realize that there's nothing to it, and eventually you will be able to fix this and become free, become unclogged, and your brain will eventually be free and never have to think about urges again, because there's no benefit for the brain to give urges because it sees no benefits in it. Hey, before we get further into the video, I want to make sure that you like and subscribe and comment, because it will help other people find the video and actually help them get towards freedom like you are doing so right now. There's also a course which is in pre-sale right now, so if you're interested in that, because the price will only continue to get higher, then there's the link in the description below. Another thing that people often struggle with is not understanding how stress works. So people often think of stress as something like, oh my god, I'm having this feeling, I cannot handle the stress, clearly I need to go towards pornography, my only one and only friend which helps me, blah 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 blah. And that doesn't work. This is partially because of modernity, in that you don't know how to accurately cope with stress, and you haven't learned that because of pornography and everything else. So this is the level of stress which you generally should be on, right? This is the base level of stress, and sure, there's slight upticks here and there. For example, a little bit of cortisol helps you wake up, but overall what you realize is that stress should be here. Now of course, if you see a freaking lion, then it will spike, and rightfully so. You should be stressed there, because stress will help you be more perceptive, stress will help you fight better, stress will help you perform better. So at that time, stress is good. But what modern people don't realize is that the stress that they're on is like this, almost this level for some people, right? And because of that, because they're constantly at a high stress level, because they don't know how to turn the brain fucking off, they continuously suffer. So how and why do you suffer from this? Because you do not understand how stress works, and you never question it in the first place. For example, look at this guy. The stress system which we use is old, very old, like back when our ancestors were lizards, that old, right? We shared it with the freaking lizards and the birds and whatnot. So it's used for when lions or anything else which actively endangers your body and whatnot spikes, right? And that's very good, that's useful, and it should remain very low for the rest of the day. But modern society, modern systems result in you having a high to moderate level of stress 24/7 because you don't turn it off, because you don't realize that these things don't matter. Imagine someone is screaming at you because you didn't do your homework, as an example. Generally, what most people will do is that they were like at this level of stress because they didn't do their homework, and then they went to this level of stress and they continue to have this level of stress. But what you need to realize is that it doesn't fucking matter. You will still have food, you will still have shelter, you will still have clothes and whatnot, so you don't need to worry about the hunger, you don't need to worry about coldness, you don't need to worry about all of these things. And so this happens, this high level of stress, because you misinterpret this as a threat to your life, which 99.99% of times it is not. You will still be alive 1 minute later, you will still be alive 60 minutes later, you will still be alive tomorrow and the month after. So much like this guy, you need to start becoming more mindful and start identifying your thought patterns. This doesn't mean you start sitting there for 5 minutes chanting Om or some crap like that, but instead you start being mindful in your general life. Best way I can explain this is that there's 3 parts of your brain. There's 3 frameworks, there's 3 ways that your brain can give out thoughts, right? There's the logical thoughts, which are like, oh, it helps concentration, oh, it's good for education. There's the mammalian thoughts, like, it's my friend, it harms no one, leave it alone, blah blah blah. And then there's the reptilian or the primal brain, which is based on lack of mindfulness generally, or based on something like, I have low willpower. The problem is with the emotional brain, because they don't process their emotions and they fail to understand that even if they don't do something like the homework, even if they don't do the job assignment at the right time, they will still be alive. You need to understand that. The surface level things like the logical brainwashings, which are take like 5 minutes to address, and the same with the reptilian brain brainwashings, are very easy to deal with. But the emotional brainwashings are something that you need to be mindful. There are something that you actually confront, and it will be uncomfortable, arguably the most uncomfortable, as it was for me and my clients, though you may be different. So before we get further, which one is you? Which one of these brain parts is you? Are you the logical brain? Are you the mammalian brain? Are you the reptilian brain? This is a trick question. Now think of it like a TV. You turn on the TV and there's a channel there. Perhaps it's some drama show or some emotional show. Perhaps it's some nature, logical, wildlife documentary. Perhaps it's some show about hunting or whatnot, right? So there's all of these thoughts which are about the logical brainwashing. There's all of these thoughts about the emotional and the reptilian brainwashings. And what you need to understand is that you are the one with the remote. You can change the color of the TV, you can change the channels that are running on it, and you can change the volume. And you can choose to not be affected by the TV. When you start identifying with the TV, when you start identifying with these thoughts, is when there's problems. The brain's job is to simply think, much like your heart's job is to beat, or your stomach's job is to digest, or your bum's job is to poop, right? So you need to start seeing your thoughts differently, and it's your job as the observer, as the person with the remote control, to control these thoughts and see that the thoughts are never that I need porn. It's I'm having the thought that I need porn, and it's based on XYZ self-limiting beliefs, which are not based on reality, because I have actually researched them. I have understood that they are not true, they are false. To summarize, the best way that you can overcome pornography is by firstly being more grounded in the present moment. This could be my meditation, like the 5-minute thing, so I don't think that works as well, but instead having these mindfulness exercises which bring you back to the present moment, which make you grateful to be alive, which make you realize, okay, I still have food, I still have shelter, I still have clothes, I don't need to worry about any of these things. Even if someone is screaming at me, even if my job assignment or whatever is like 5 minutes late, I am still alive and I can easily fix this problem, because humans have dealt with far worse, right? Second thing I would tell you is to journal as hard as you can about the benefits that you see in pornography, and question your self-limiting beliefs to see if they're actually true or if they're just falsehoods. When you start doing this, you will have less of a reason to use pornography, because you realize that these are false, these are not me, these beliefs are not based on reality, but just stupid shit that I ended up believing because someone else told me. And last thing that I will tell you is that if you want, there's coaching. So there's one-on-one coaching. As I said, I've helped many people. I've struggled myself with 9 years, and it got so bad to the point that I almost wanted to end it all. I don't want other people to go through that thing. So if you are in a relatively bad place because of pornography, there's the course which is on pre-sale right now. It's not finished yet. I will be asking you like 30 minutes of questions on text about how I can make the course better, about what specific problems that you're dealing with, so I can make sure that it's good. And the same with one-on-one coaching. You will get 6 hours of coaching, and you will also get the course for a practically free price. So if you're interested in that, then just go to the link in the description, and that's all. Cheers.